You know, I've watched, as everyone has, horrifically, and the impact on this thing we're going through from Orlando. You know what I really noticed? And I even did it myself, and I was conscious of it because I noticed everybody in the neighborhood did it. Everyone lowered their flags, even in the neighborhood, to half-mast, even everywhere. Like I noticed them, and I never noticed them, and even for all these tragedies, I never noticed them before, like this time, where everybody lowered their flags. And I was consciously noticed everybody lower, like there's some flagpoles that people have in our neighborhood in their yards, and I noticed that the flags were all half-mast, and I was like, I've not been conscious of that before. That, usually you have a flag, you leave it, just fly it, that's it. And I actually lowered ours because everyone else did. I was like, wow, I hadn't really thought of it, to be honest with you. That's the first time I've ever done that since I lived there, that I did that. But the impact on this has just been like, enough's enough. And I don't want to start a gun debate here or any of that stuff. I don't want to get into it. First of all, I'm not knowledgeable about guns. Secondly, it's not an argument I want to have on this show. But the only thing I will say is this. I am not, and I understand completely that geographically it changes and philosophically it changes, and people are very protective of their guns. I understand that. And we're not talking about revolvers here. We're not talking about pistols. We're not talking about hunting guns. Explain to me, if you could, and if you're in the U.S. Senate or in Congress, this is a debate you have to have. Why would we allow civilians to buy weapons that are utilized for mass destruction? Why are they allowed to be sold? For what? Because what is their possible, that's not for protection. What is their possible purpose? If you're in the Army, I understand, but why would that, to me, is a debate they have to have here. It just makes sense. I'm not saying take away people's guns. You want to have rifles? You want to have pistols? I understand. God bless you. You do not need something that can knock off 200 rounds. What is the purpose? You going hunting with it? What are you hunting? I mean, that to me is just, it makes no sense. It doesn't even, sometimes I wonder why don't we have any common sense? That just makes common sense. And like I said, I've never even given that much thought until I said, why are we even having these forget about who can get guns and who can't. And that's a debate I understand we have to have on all different levels, and freedom, and people have rights. And no, I'm not getting into any of that. All I'm getting into is this. Why would we allow someone to buy a weapon that is, in essence, used to create mass destruction? That is its only purpose. Why is that? You should have to be a military person or a person who is in the government or someone who is in charge of, overall safety and wears a uniform and has been cleared and vetted by this country for ever be able to buy or purchase or even touch those guns. Case closed. I mean, that just makes sense to me. And that's not a gun issue.